V to the I to the D to the B to the I to the R Vidbir. Yes, Ukraine has decided on their Eurovision 2018 contestant, and it is Melovin. Should we talk about it?
Let's do this.
Yes, Melovin, he may not have won last year, but he came back and he came out on top. This is a really good performance. He's got a great song. It's probably the first song of the year where I could hear this on the radio, like here in England, or even getting airplay on some stations in America. It sounds so current. I mean, he has some enunciation issues, but he can solve that in time. That's just a matter of practice. Melodically, musically, rhythmically, visually, this works. I like the fact, not freakish, that's the wrong word. He has a unique perspective, a bohemian look that's deliberately meant to provoke you, to scare you a little, the contacts. It's like looking into your soul. This is magical. Best shot of the year this far of National's final season, the piano staircase. He's on the piano and there's a staircase behind him. So there's like a 3-dimension as he emerging from the ground. He ain't under the ladder, he's on top of the ladder, and he's looking down on a lot of people saying, I'm gonna slay. This is magical.
It's the first proper floor filler of the year, I think, because while it's not quite a big dance anthem, there's definitely a beat to it and you can dance to it comfortably. And by God, we needed one of those. It was getting to the stage where it was looking like Eurovision was going to have more in common with Festival de Canção, and I was not looking forward to that at all. And this has the beat, but there's the credible pop factor to it as well. Like you were saying, that it's radio friendly. So I think it will stand to him with juries and with televotes. And it was even telling in tonight's Ukrainian final that this year he came second with the televote, with the juries. And last year was the juries that tripped him up because he won the televote last year and again this year. Whereas this, obviously his song this time, it had that extra bit of credibility, I think, to him, as well as the kind of popular appeal. And his stage show and his gimmick, like, it's hard to tell. It kind of matches the song in a way. It's not like Jamie Lee. It's not as awful, as off-putting as hers was for Germany in 2016. But the main thing with him is that, it's current. His enunciation is probably the biggest issue. The first time I ever heard the song, I was like, is he actually singing in English? But like you said, that's going to be solved. And it's nice to see that for probably the first time ever, that Ukraine are sending a male act that is likely to do well, because the only other times I think was Green Jolly and O Torvald, and then Verka Serduchka is kind of a male dressed as a female, and she obviously did very well, but he's the first true male act that is going to do well.
The first thing I thought when I was watching the performance, and it crossed my mind, I was like, oh, Alexei really needs to go back to the drawing board and do something about his song, because the songs are quite different, but I think they appeal to the same demographic, and I think Melovin's song at this point is a notch better. I think the performance is better, the enunciation will be better for sure, but I think the vocal is there, something I don't think Alexei has sorted yet. But yeah, the performance is. It keeps you interested from the very first second until the last one, and him as a performer is also really engaging. His looks is not like an average pop star that you look at him and you say, oh, this is the Ukrainian Justin Bieber, or this is the Ukrainian Shawn Mendes. He has a really distinct look, and I think that by itself will only bring him good things in Eurovision. And I think Alexei really needs to go back to the board and think his song through, because this is better.
It's interesting. One of the reasons I think this will do well at Eurovision is that it doesn't sound regional. You wouldn't be able to say, okay, that's from Eastern Europe or that's from Western Europe. This could be from anywhere, and it's going to appeal to people across borders. Mm-hmm. I think this is going through to the final easily. I don't see a scenario, no matter how strong the songs in the second semi are, that this doesn't qualify, because this has such a strong visual element, and it keeps changing. You know, moving to the piano, I guess towards the end or halfway through, it's like there are these just there's a progression, a visual progression, and he's so arresting and charismatic, and he is feeling the song. He is so into it. You can tell like he loves this song and he loves singing this song. We said it before, but when in doubt, creep him out. Some people in the comment section on wiwibloggs are saying, yawn, oh, he's going to scare the audience. Well, then other people rightly say these are salty Tayana fans. I think people need to take a step back and respect his originality. This is celebrating diversity in a different way by being a little out there, a little outre, and also showing that Ukraine, you know, they got some edgy folks too. I mean, we had O Torvald last year, so what am I talking about? Maybe we're used to that. But this is less off-putting than O Torvald.
Yeah, I think once again Tayana was unlucky because she came second tonight. She topped the jury vote, and then it was the televote. I think she only came third.
Yeah.
So then that gave Melovin the victory. One thing that she did improve on, like I already loved the song, the staging was my issue. So she slightly improved her outfit, but by slightly I mean very slightly, because instead of having kind of the really short Pocahontas dirty orange outfit, she replaced it with a very baggy, loose, dirty orange office suit that was kind of reminiscent of what Amaya wore in the Spanish selection, except instead of being white, it was orange, and it didn't work at all. So I don't know, was it self-sabotage? If so, it worked, because I'm kind of sad in a way that the song won't be there and that it's not available for some other country to bring. But yeah, I think Melovin is going to qualify with ease.
I think compared to Tayana, Melovin's song was better. But that is just my personal taste. But I really think that the drama that happened in Ukraine did not help her at all. Well, the thing that happened with Verka Andrew, I think that's his name. I think the fact that he was doubtful of her vocals, of her being singing live, and asking for the backing track to come again and ask her to sing again to prove that she was actually singing live, and it wasn't the backing vocalist. And then the fact that her manager, I think it was her manager that intervened, and it was very aggressive, and for a second there it looked like it was going to go up on stage and slap Verka in the face. Thankfully that didn't happen, and they went on a hat break. But yeah, I don't think that helped her in the sense of people actually picking up the vote, the cell phone and vote for her, because the televote was the thing that faulted her.
Talk about Objetivo Eurovision. I mean, first she gets screwed by being accused of cheating, essentially, by saying it's playback, as if that would have happened, as if producers would have allowed that to happen. And then her manager getting angry would have turned off other people. I feel bad for her because she had a strong entry, and while I prefer Melovin, you could see a scenario where she does win in Ukraine. And so I think this is actually a horrible result for her in the sense that we don't really know what would have happened without this incident. And you just got to think she must be really angry. But hopefully she'll come back next year and have an even better song. Because her song to me, it just sounded too familiar, and I didn't like the kind of appropriation of Native American garments or whatever she was doing. But she could have, yeah. I love you, Tayana. You'll be back even stronger. Well, that's what we think. What do you think? Did your favorite win in Ukraine? Is Melovin headed straight to the final? Do you think it could end up in the top 10? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
And of course, there's been 5 winning songs tonight, so subscribe to make sure you see all of them and hit the notifications bell to get the little alert as we upload the reactions.
And don't forget to give us your thumbs up, yeah.
And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.